Alright guys, welcome back to the Pilot Patriot channel. Got something a little different for you guys today. Today we're going to be looking at long-term food storage. Most people nowadays, they're so used to going to Food Line or Walmart or something once a week to pick up their groceries that they never really have more than about 3 days to a week of food in their house. The problem with that is if an emergency happens, it doesn't have to be world-ending emergency, just something like the power's out for a week, there's a big ice storm, you can't go anywhere, things like that, hurricanes, tornadoes, anything like that, where there's going to be a big rush on the supermarkets. And you see that every time there's a big natural disaster like that. The first thing people do is they go out to Walmart and they buy up all the food. And if you don't get there in time, most everything's going to be gone by the time you get there. And all you had at home was 4 cans of food, maybe a few bags of chips and a loaf of bread, and that is not going to last you, especially if you have a family. It's not going to last you more than a few days. So it's always good to have some kind of backup emergency food for situations like that. What would be great is if you could have at least a month's worth of food and water for your whole family. That way, anytime something like that happens, you're ready for it. Now, one of the first things you'll hear when you hear people talk about long-term food storage is they'll always talk about canned foods. And that is one way to do it. A lot of people prefer that because it's pretty cheap. You just go to the grocery store, pick up a couple extra cans every time you go. I do recommend doing that and keeping some extra canned foods around. But if you're like me, what's probably going to happen is when you run out of your regular grocery items, you're going to go straight to those cans and you're going to eat them all up. And it may be a while before you replenish that stock. The other thing is the expiration on these cans is usually no more than about 5 years out. A lot of times it's going to be less than that, and you have to remember to circulate that out. What I found to be a better solution is something like the Legacy food buckets. The great thing about a bucket like this is the shelf life on these foods is 25 to 30 years. That's something that you can just sit and forget. That way when an emergency happens, it's there and you don't have to worry about whether it's gone bad or not as long as you keep it stored properly. Now there are a lot of things that set Legacy Foods apart from a lot of these other long-term food storage companies. Legacy has a lot of different options. Everything that they have is GMO free. They have gluten-free options. They have buckets that are nothing but entrees. They have breakfast buckets. They have options for meats. They have drink options like coffee and milk and chocolate milk and things like that. But what really sets Legacy apart is the serving size. The serving size on this pouch here is 1.5 cups. Most of these long-term food storage companies, they have very similar packaging. It comes in a nice bucket like this. It's packaged in Mylar bags just like this. But what you'll see is a lot of them are only 1/2 cup servings. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a grown man, and 1/2 cup of food is not a meal for me. That's not going to do it. So Legacy Foods is 3 times the servings of a lot of the most popular food storage options there are. Now, in today's society, everybody is worried about calories and keeping their weight down and being healthy and things like that. But it's unhealthy not to get enough calories. A person should be getting about 2,000 calories a day. The other thing that sets Legacy apart from a lot of those other companies is that they have high calorie counts, which in this situation, an emergency situation, is a very good thing. As you can see, this particular one here is 420 calories per serving. A lot of them that you're going to see are only like 160 or 200 calories per serving, and that's another thing. It's a small serving, as well as it's not going to fill you up. It's not going to give you the nutrition that you need for your daily calorie count. Especially in emergency situations or high stress situations, you really need all the strength and energy you can get, and if you're not getting enough calories, then you're not going to have that energy. The Legacy really is the best out there. It's not just my opinion, it's a fact. You can see the stats right there on the chart. Now let's open this bad boy up and I'll show you what's inside. Now if you can see the expiration there on top of that bucket, 2,045. That is not a joke. That is for real. Everything in this bucket, if you store it properly, is going to be good for 25 to 30 years. Now, this is food. This is stuff that we're going to be serving to our families. This is stuff that we may have to eat for weeks or months at a time. The other thing that's really important, other than calorie count and price and everything like that, is taste and quality of food. And Legacy does a great job of that. They have a lot of options. Just in this bucket alone, there are 19 different kinds of foods. So you get a little bit of variety. You're not eating rice and beans every day. It's got things like pasta Alfredo. It's got stroganoff, chili mac and cheese, a bunch of different kinds of soups. Just a really good variety of really tasty stuff, and we'll actually cook some up here for you in a minute so you can see what it looks like when it's actually cooked. And we'll do a taste test. I know that's mainly going to be what I think about it, but I'll show you that it is really good stuff. You can see this thing is full to the brim with these very well packaged Mylar bags. They have all the nutritional facts on the back. They have cooking instructions. The other great thing about this is it's super easy. All you need to cook this is water. Now, one more thing about this stuff before we go in there and cook it and do a taste test is price. This stuff is very reasonably priced. This particular bucket is 120 servings. Right now they're selling it for right around $300. And I know $300 sounds like a lot, but if you think about it, that's really only a little over $2 per meal, which is amazing for good quality food. I mean, you're not going to get that at any restaurant, and it'd be really hard to go to the grocery store and cook a meal for that. All right, we got our water coming to a boil, and like I was telling you guys earlier, this stuff is super simple to make. Instructions are right on the back. All you got to do is open it up, add the recommended amount of water, cook it for the recommended amount of time, and you're good to go. One thing you got to make sure you do is take out that oxygen absorber. That's not going to taste very good. Alright guys, we got our water boiling. Now we're just going to add the pasta. Mix that in. Then we're just going to reduce the heat to medium and let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Alright, our 15 minutes is up. Let's give this stuff a try. First thing I'm noticing is that it's really nice, thick sauce. It's not super watery like you kind of would expect from something like this. Let's go give it a try. Alright guys, here's the moment of truth. And honestly, I feel a little weird eating in front of the camera, but it's for the integrity of the video. So here we go. Wow. Yeah, it's really good actually. Like I said, the sauce is nice and creamy. It's got a lot of flavor. Yeah, if I was eating this for an emergency, I would feel like I was eating a gourmet meal. This is great. Alright guys, I'm going to finish this up. I'll get back with you later. Alright guys, that's it for the Legacy Foods. Now you don't have to take my word for it. Call them up, get some free samples sent out to you. Look up the stats for yourself. Legacy Foods is the best and the cheapest and the most practical way to have long-term food storage for emergencies. And after tasting it, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to cooking it on any weeknight and serving it to the family. It's that good. These pouches would even be great to throw in a bug-out bag or to take camping or something like that. A lot of uses for this stuff. Now, there are other options for storage, like I mentioned earlier. You can do the cans, or you can actually go to the grocery store and buy large bags of rice and potatoes and things like that and put them in your own 5-gallon buckets as long as you use Mylar bags and do it properly. I'm actually going to do a video of that and show you how to do that so you can do that yourself. It won't be full meals like this. It probably won't taste as good as this, but it is another option. Also, you want to make sure you have plenty of water. You can't cook this stuff without water. You can't live without water, so make sure you have some water stored also. I'm going to do a video on that as well. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay prepared. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.